Ellaspeaks, and you're welcome to another episode of Matters Arising with Ellaspeaks. And if you're a new subscriber, thanks for subscribing. You're welcome to the family, and I assure you, you won't regret joining this family. And to our old subscribers, thanks for coming back. Thanks for your support. I love you. Okay, so on today's episode, we'll be discussing something sensitive. Yeah. And I guess you see I'm not alone this time around. Here with me is she will introduce herself to you.
Okay, Akiola Abigail, a medical practitioner.
Yeah. So we're here to discuss on rape. She won't be the only one talking, but she is the only one present here physically. Yeah. We'll be having, apart from she being a medical practitioner, we'll be having a psychologist, a therapist, and a lawyer to also discuss about this rape from different angles. So now, Abigail here will tell us the effects of rape medically. So, over to her.
Okay, hello everyone. Let me start by defining rape. Medically, we see rape as any form of anal, oral, or vaginal penetration that involves a threat or force in an individual who is unwilling or incapacitated to resist at that particular point in time. Now, when we look at the female reproductive system, it consists of both the external feature, that's the vulva, which includes the labia majora, the clitoris, the vaginal orifice, which is the part where the penetration actually occurs. Now, in an underage child, let's say a female that is below the age of 15, her vaginal orifice is smaller than this. Wow. And the hymen is covering 2/3 of this. So imagine a grown-up man whose penis is maybe as thick as this or as big as this, now forces it through a hole that is not up to this. Number one, there will be laceration, which is physical trauma to the soft tissues of the female reproductive tract. And the female reproductive tract externally is wildly innervated, meaning that there are a lot of nerve endings which pick up different impulses like pain, pleasure, touch, cold, heat, whatever impulses directly to the brain. So what happens is that during rape, when this force hits on this young girl, she picks up every signal. So imagine the amount of pain, the amount of incomprehensible touch and feelings that her brain is trying to interpret all at the same time. It can be 5 minutes for the rape, for the girl it's like a 5-hour torment video that she's the main actress there. So aside from that, the laceration, which is a tear, can pass from the vaginal orifice to the urethra, which is the opening where urine comes out from the female. So once that happens, there could be a communication between the urinary tract and the vagina, meaning that she could have a uretrovaginal fistula, meaning urine will be coming out from her vagina uncontrollably, and that condition is very, very expensive to manage because the stigma that comes with it, because she'll be passing urine herself without her even knowing, because we are able to control our urine because of the urethral sphincter, but once there's a communication with the vagina, you won't be able to know when you're even full, when you're pressed, and this lady just found that she has wet herself, and it's not her fault because of one insensible human being that decided to rape her and destroy the normal features that God has put there. Aside from that, also there are other complications that come later, like dysmenorrhea, which is painful menstruation. A rape victim is highly predisposed to having dysmenorrhea, although some have it naturally, but a victim of rape, you can almost say that this lady will experience dysmenorrhea. Menorrhagia, that is excessive bleeding during menstruation. This lady will bleed excessively because there has been trauma to the organs of the reproductive system. She can also come down with sexual dysfunction, because the first, or maybe most times not actually the first to some people, but that experience itself has created a kind of miscommunication between what is supposed to happen and what happened to her. So sexually she is imbalanced, and the next time she might want to have sexual intercourse or anybody is going that way towards her, she would not know how to control, how to manage it. She would not have that kind of pleasure that is expected through sexual intercourse. And aside that, psychologically she is disturbed. Post-traumatic stress disorder could make her become depressed, isolated, she start having nightmares, unable to sleep, having eating disorders. She might even end up going to substance abuse, which is very, very terrible. Rape is something that should not be condoned because it is animal behavior. Because I don't expect a human being to stoop so low, to lose control and behave like a cockroach that's going after a hen, or a billy goat that's going after the female. I don't understand, because it's something that is not expected among human beings. There's no justification for rape. Please, let's say no to rape.
There's no excuse for rape. Like, you
all.
have no excuse. There are some guys that will be like, the lady annoyed me, she insulted me, she did something bad to me, and so as a result of that, you will gang rape her. Like, do you know? Just imagine, she just mentioned just a man on a lady. What about the gang rape? Do you know? Like, just can you just imagine what will happen? Like, what will happen to the lady? Like, ah, God. The part that she said, the what's it called? The lady will wet herself uncontrollably. Really touches me, because that's like an embarrassment. It's like disgrace. So this lady will not want to function again. She won't want to go out again. She just want to be on herself. No wonder some of those rape victims are always on their own. See, guys, this thing is very. You've heard from a medical practitionist. So please let us just say no to rape. Like I said, she's not the only one we hear from. So let's hear from our psychologist. Our psychologist is she's camera shy, so she dropped an audio that we'll listen to. Her picture will be displayed, so you will see who is speaking to you. So just listen. Then after the psychologist,
Rape is a traumatic experience that impacts its victims in a physical, psychological, and sociological way. Though the effect and aftermath of rape can be different amongst the victims, most rape survivors still experience a stronger psychological impact in the initial period after their assault. However, many survivors may experience long lasting psychological harm. Survivors of rape may often have anxiety and fear directly following the attack. According to a study, 96% of women said they were scared, shaky, or trembling a few hours after the attack, and as time went on, the levels of depression, exhaustion, and restlessness increased. Rape often leads to heightened anxiety and fear, and this includes the feelings of dread, feeling nervous, feeling tense and uneasy, having panic attacks. It can also cause post traumatic stress disorders, depression, self blame, in which an individual feels they should have done something differently and therefore feel at fault. They might even think something is inherently wrong with them, which makes them deserving of assault. There is the feeling of loss of self respect and self worth. They can become suicidal. They are at risk of developing substance use disorders, major depression, generalized anxiety disorders, and eating disorders. They can develop rape trauma syndrome. Psychological trauma experienced by a rape victim includes disruptions to normal physical, emotional, cognitive, and interpersonal behavior. These symptoms and reactions are common to most victims of rape, and it can last for months or years afterwards. The feelings may subside for some people, and it can have long term devastating effects in others, and they may experience psychological distress for months or even years. The memory of hurt can be very strong, and it shapes who we become. No one deserves to be hurt. No one deserves rape. There is no justification for it. Let's rise against rape. Say no to rape.
so I hope you heard what the psychologist said. We heard us talk about the PTSD that the medical practitioner spoke about while she was talking. Yeah, the post-traumatic stress disorder. The aftermath of rape causes that. It causes anxiety, fear. She also not even be mentally balanced. So now I would like us to listen to our lawyer. Yeah, listen to our lawyer and our therapist at the same time. So after everything, um, I'm coming to round it off.
Thus, when a man has sex or sexual intercourse with a woman without her consent, rape is said to be established. There are about five specific laws that deal with rape in Nigeria. We have the Criminal Code, which is applicable in all the southern states of the Federation. We have the Penal Code, which is applicable in the north. We have the criminal laws of some states, like that of Lagos State. We also have the Child Rights Act. Victims of rape are made to suffer unjustifiable and unquantifiable anguish. Some become diagnosed with so many post-traumatic stress disorder. Some are made to get depersonalized and, of course, reframe themselves from the society. And like the recent UAS case that happened in the Edo States, some are murdered by those that rape them, which is so traumatic. The question at this junction is, what is the position of the Nigerian law on rape? Like I said earlier, we have series of specific laws on rape. The criminal code, the penal code, the criminal laws of each state, the Child Rights Act, and what have you. In Nigeria, a person is said to have committed the offense of rape when he has sexual intercourse or sexual relationship uh, with a woman against her will, or without her consent, or while putting her in fear of death or harm, which is more or less like putting pressure or undue influence. We could, of course, misrepresenting as the husband of the woman. That's like more or less like a misrepresentation. Somebody acted as if he was the husband of the particular lady or woman. And of course, having carnal knowledge of a girl under 14 years of age with or without her consent. So there's no point in saying, oh, you're having sex with a 14-year-old girl. There's nothing wrong in it because she gave you your consent. It is absolutely wrong, with or without her consent, because she is a minor. And of course, finally, having carnal knowledge of a girl with unsound mind. It is so pathetic that some men or criminal-minded individuals go to the extent of having sex with perhaps a lady that is psychologically imbalanced or mentally not too okay, which is so bad, and it is no doubt a criminal offense. Under the penal code, which is applicable in northern part of Nigeria, it states that it goes further that even where the girl is a wife of the person, such person will be guilty of rape if she has not attained puberty. My mind is flashed back to the Yerima case some times ago. I think it was alleged or said in the news that he got married to the girl who happens to be an 11-year-old girl from Egypt, if I'm right. Now, the question process of going to court and establishing that rape has been committed, so that the perpetrators or perhaps the alleged individuals can be found accused and face the punitive measures as provided by the law. And the maximum punishment is imprisonment, but in some cases it could not necessarily be imprisonment. It all depends on the circumstance of the case as established in the law courts. Now the question now is, why do we have low rates of rape prosecution in Nigeria? I've more or less like highlighted three reasons. Number one is inability of victims of rape to report their cases. I will advise Nigerians or perhaps the public at large that, or let me say the victims, that when they've been attacked or perhaps raped, they shouldn't feel shy or perhaps lock themselves up within their privacy. They should open up to the necessary individuals around, perhaps their parents for a girl child, their sisters, elderly one they trust, or perhaps they should go straight to the police station and make a report. Yes, they should make a report. And another one I would say is the lack of proper investigation. It is quite painful that our police sometimes don't do their job as required by the law. Uwa's case is more or less like a distinct one in the sense that the whole of Nigerians on social media are clamoring for proper police investigation to be able to make sure that the perpetrators of this crime are brought to book. Let's assume this wasn't publicized. Let's assume Twitter is not there, Facebook is not there, or the rest of the social media platforms are not there, or the media didn't do their job as they do. What will be the fate of Uwa? So we use this medium to charge the Nigerian police to keep up with the good job and not to relent, and to always be there as a symbol of justice, to making sure that perpetrators of crimes are always brought to book through their proper investigative acts. So at this junction, I don't know what question you may want to ask me, but I'm hopeful that I've been able to a reasonable extent, let your audience know what rape or perhaps the concept of rape is in the eye of the law. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Deborah and I'm a therapist. I would like to talk about rape and a way in which the victim can heal or avoid it. Firstly, I like to state that indecent dressing doesn't cause rape, rather it contributes to rape because men's vital organs are intrigued or let's say infuriated by sight. Yes, a lot of girls get raped even while being covered with clothes, but the highest cases of rape was due to nudity, but less blames to the victim and more to the abuse. A rape victim should be taken immediately to a medical center in order to get medical care and attention. Also, it is safe to say it's not right to address the issue in the presence of the victim, as it brings about the realization of the situation there and also bring about the consequences. It makes them realize the consequences that lies in it for them. This has led to many suicide. Change of environment is also advisable, as to the fact that when the victim remains in the environment, it could bring about images and recaps of the past situation, which could affect them mentally and throw them into a stage of depression and other mental disorder. A visit with a psychologist or therapist is advised immediately after medical attention, because most victims are affected mentally, and this can lead to so many trauma in which therapists or psychologists can help them figure a way out around it. There are also foundations around everywhere in every country and state, mainly for rape victims, most especially for kids who aren't yet up to the age of teenager, or let's say maturity. Foundations like H3 Foundation in Nigeria are also advised to every rape victim. They should be taken there, as they'll get proper checkups and proper care, and also advice and much attention that they need. I also like to talk about chronic pain, because most rape victims go through chronic pain, and chronic pain can be very, very exhausting, as it is a lonely experience. It makes you very depressed, and it makes you feel like no matter what you say, no one will understand you. It's like a 24 hours pain that could be in someone's heart. You could actually just feel pain, feel lonely, and not have anyone to talk to. Even when people are out there, you feel they still won't understand you. Things to do when you feel sexually violated. Before any before anyone gets sexually violated, there are some signs you must have seen. So before then, you can set boundaries, listen to your guts, let others know where you are, your family members or a friend that you trust. Set signals with peers to let them know you are not comfortable, maybe with your friend who you're in that environment. Sometimes our friends could be the reason why we end up as victim of rape. That's why you should be careful of the kind of peer you move with. Do not set yourself to be in bad places. Also have a self-defense method, like maybe a weapon with you, not like a very big weapon. It could be maybe your hairpin or something that you can actually use to protect yourself during this abuse, or let's say when it's about to start. Also, during the abuse, what you can do is to remember that you're not stuck. There's always a way out. No matter what, you can always find a way out. You have power. You just have to try to make it, to put it to use at that moment. Use your mental and physical strengths. They work together. You can just think of something and make a move immediately. Think of ways to get out without getting extremely hot. The plan is not to get hot. That's why you have to be careful in whichever method you want to use. You can also go to the extreme, do things that maybe you think you cannot do, just to get yourself out of this situation. If you feel it's coming, maybe you see a sign that it's about to happen, get out as soon as possible using any excuse that you can use. Think of a way to help yourself get free. Any way you can to help yourself get free is actually very, very essential. Also, I would like to say showing too much pity to this victim is actually very uncalled for, because the more you tend to show pity to them, it makes them realize the situation they're in and how lonely and how much stigma they could get in the society. That's why you should never start up a fight trying to protect your rape victim. Maybe start up a blog or something at that moment. You need to let the situation die down before you start up anything or any program concerning that situation, because the more you dive in that situation, the more you make them scared and bring about the realization of the kind of danger they might be in or could be
I'm sure
in.
we've heard what the lawyer has to say. We've heard
Well,
pros
that's
and
all I
cons
could say
behind
for
this
now.
wicked thing
That's
called
all.
rape. And we've also heard from the therapist how to go through the healing processes, how to heal the victim. If you are someone who is close to the victim, the ways in which you will help heal the person, the way the victim herself can be healed. See, this rape of a kid, I feel it boils down to our society. It boils down to the society we are living in. We all just feel like while growing, they only call the girl child into the room. Okay, you don't dress like this. Okay, when you don't walk late at night. Okay, don't walk in the midst of guys. Why? I feel the thing is they are supposed to call this the boy child also. You teach them how to respect a woman, how to fight for a woman, how to fight for the girl child. But because okay, if you feel okay fine, he's a man, you don't need to be taught. You should know that. No, just the way you teach the girl child, you should also teach the boy child. They need to know all this. And the thing about this rape of a thing is the lady is always at fault. If it should happen in the club, she is too loose. If it should happen in the house, she was carelessly dressed. If it should happen in the office, she was a seductress. If it's to rape, like it's second to death, I mean, it's just like death itself because of the trauma. According to what the psychologist said, you heard the trauma and everything the victim would pass through. So I want you to join me to stand courageously against rape. Let us all come together and stand against this thing. When we stand against it, when we are united to stand against this monstrous act, this will stop. And one, and I actually want to beseech the NGOs out there. Let us all work together in curbing this act. When we go out for seminars, we go out for talks. Let us also gather the boy child. Let us talk to them and also advise them, encourage them to always protect the girl child, always fight for her, and always respect justification for rape. There's no excuse for rape, no matter what's happening. That rape is not supposed to be a source of punishment. So I want us to desist from this act. It might be a 5 minutes enjoyment to you, but it's a lifetime torture for the no means no. Once it is not conceptual, then it is rape. No means no. Say no to rape. Stand with me and say no to rape. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a like, comment, and also subscribe.